Universal has created lands that are absolute masterpieces, like Jurassic Park or Hogsmeade in Islands of Adventure, or even their brand new Darkmoor in Epic Universe. But there's a land in Islands of Adventure that everyone walks right past, even though it's one of their best creations to date. While being the land that everybody just kind of passes through, it's full of magical Easter eggs and details that you could spend literal hours discovering. From big, beautiful beginnings when this park was first opened to now being an empty shell of its former self, we're here to cover it all. This is the secrets of Port of Entry.
Port of Entry's architecture is an eclectic mix meant to evoke the four corners of the globe. Its designers drew on Middle Eastern, Mediterranean, Asian, and other global influences.
The result is a mosaic of structures. You'll spot elements like windmills, stone temples, pagodas, thatched roofs. This mishmash of styles reinforces the story that travelers from all over the world built this port, bringing their own cultures, cuisines, and architecture into one melting pot.
The land isn't modeled on any single real place. Instead, it's inspired by exotic locales and fabled jungles, giving it a timeless storybook feel rather than a specific historical setting. Which, if you really think about it, Islands of Adventure is based on actual books and stories. That's a pretty cool Easter egg about the park as a whole.
Let's dive a little deeper into the structures here for a moment. Specifically, the lighthouse that is the icon for Islands of Adventure as a whole. The Pharos Lighthouse at the park entrance is a beacon in its narrative. Standing roughly 130 feet tall, it's a working lighthouse modeled after the ancient lighthouse of Alexandria, one of the 7 wonders of the world.
If you're not familiar with the story of that first ancient lighthouse, it was built around 280 BCE on the small island of Pharos, just off the coast of Alexandria, Egypt, under the rule of, forgive me for my pronunciation, Ptolemy Soter, and his son, Ptolemy II Philadelphus. I'm sorry. The lighthouse guided sailors safely into the busy harbor of Alexandria, one of the ancient world's greatest centers of trade and learning.
What is really cool is that at that lighthouse peak, a statue stood, likely of Zeus or Poseidon, symbolizing a protection from sailors. So in a way, this ties to Lost Continent here in the park.
The Pharos Lighthouse has a mirrored top and stylized flame motif as a tribute to the original wonder's mirror and fire beacon. I think it's a perfect fit to have something that was modeled after one of the 7 wonders of the world be here in Port of Entry.
And if park legend is to be believed, this lighthouse ties into the park's backstory. As the story goes, one day a mysterious child emerged from the lighthouse and skipped a stone across the waters, the stone skipping 5 times to magically form the park's 5 lands.
Whether or not guests know this unique creation myth, the lighthouse's role is clear. It stands tall, inviting adventurers to come forth and seek adventure. And if you listen closely, you might even hear that it's accompanied by the musical score Call to Adventure. Side point, the word Pharos became the root word for lighthouse in many different languages. So if you really think about it, it's lighthouse, lighthouse.
Okay, let's focus on the design of this land next. The immersive design choices in Port of Entry reinforce the idea of exploration. Unlike the straight vista of Disney's Main Street or even here at Universal Studios Florida, this entry winds and reveals itself gradually. There are banners in multiple languages, and there are emblems from all the different islands in the park subtly placed throughout the land.
Overhead footbridges and archways deliberately break up your line of sight, encouraging you to slow down and discover details around each bend. This curving layout plus layered sightlines prevents one dominating centerpiece at the end of the street. Instead, you're drawn forward by curiosity.
Originally, when the park opened, Jurassic Park Visitor Center behind me was supposed to beckon in the distance as you walk to the end of the street of Port of Entry. The island skipper tours would then take you from Port of Entry to Jurassic Park. Of course, that didn't last, and that attraction is now defunct. And ultimately, now you can't even see the Jurassic Park Discovery Center from Port of Entry unless you come down to this water's edge, because the park grew and changed. Now there's trees in the way that have had 26 years to grow and bloom.
These design choices aren't accidental. They're tactical in a way that everything is there for a reason. It's immersing you in a lived-in adventurer's outpost rather than just a straight shot to the rides.
And of course, the essential park services like guest relations, rentals, shops, and dining are present but in story, housed in structures like an antiquated hotel or bazaar, so nothing breaks the illusion. Again, the design choices are very purposeful.
Moving on, Universal's creative team paid homage to the key figures that helped this land get built. So let's go find them.
One upstairs window advertises Codiga Adventures, master guide of exciting expeditions to uncharted territories. This is a direct nod to David Codiga, a former executive VP of Universal Creative and one of the lead architects of IOA. Near the front, a sign on a column proclaims Mr. James Nagy, Commissioner, Island Development Commission. This isn't a random fictional official. James Nagy was a real executive who had a long career with both Walt Disney World and Universal Orlando.
Outside of the backwater bar here, it's the bar attached to Confisco Grill, there used to be this old style painted ad that says, "Say Seagrams and be sure." And it noted that the bar proudly served Seagrams, which you think about that and you're like, why would it do it? But in 1999, Seagrams, the liquor company, owned Universal. So of course they paid tribute to Seagrams at the backwater bar. Of course, now Universal is not owned by Seagrams, so that's been removed.
Universal Creative also included fictional world tributes and backstory elements. For example, the post and rope behind me, it used to hold the sign for the Skipper Boat Tours. The dock remains here as atmosphere for the land. Up until recently, there used to be a submarine here, and you could also hear recorded voices of the submarine crew bickering. That's not here anymore.
It's essentially a hidden relic of IOA's early opening days, an in-story detail that hints to the port's early transport days without there being a direct sign that says so. These touches deepen the sense of port of entry, having a rich history of these explorers coming and going and leaving their little touches behind.
Every shop and facility in port of entry is given a creative, story-driven facade, often with puns or witty details. These fun touches reward those who slow down to read the signs and posters around the land. So let's slow down and take a look.
Instead of a boring guest relations office, you'll find the words Open Arms Hotel emblazed above the guest services building. The name is a heartwarming metaphor symbolizing that the park welcomes you with open arms and is a literal hotel check-in vibe. I like it.
I welcome you with my open arms.
No, don't do that.
The park's photo supply shop carries a name with layers of meaning. The Photos is also a play on the word photos and a nod to Spanish explorer Hernando de Soto. Outside the store, vintage cameras and film gear serve as props, and a tongue-in-cheek quote painted on a column proclaims, "The camera is mightier than the sword," which is a riff on the old saying, and perfect for a shop where adventurers document their journey.
Even the basic utilitarian spaces got theming. The restrooms are signed as the Waterworks Authority, treating public facilities as part of the town's infrastructure.
Next door, a meeting hall bears the title Daughters of Adventure, a clear parody of historical groups like the Daughters of Liberty. These little details suggest a civic life in the port, complete with clubs and utilities, all with a wink to real history.
Two visual gags that are often overlooked. The fire brigade building behind me that allegedly moved closer to the water. It's kind of a funny gag because you can see that part of the building burned down, so hence why they moved closer to the water. And on the other side of the street, a jailhouse scene that has recently seen an escape, hence the bed sheets that have been tied together so somebody could climb down and escape into the streets. The word "see ya" is scrawled in chalk as a parting message from the escaped prisoner.
To top it all off, the jail keys are left conspicuously within reach. Apparently, the local constable wasn't very attentive. This humorous vignette is tucked away by the Island Market candy shop, and it's easy to miss if you're hurrying past. So don't hurry past.
High on the facade of the Port of Entry Trading Company, or the main gift shop, there used to be a facade that reads, Rare Wares, Fantastic Finds, Mesozoic Marvels, Sassuan Supplies, Notions, and Potions. This clever list would represent each of the themed islands in the park. For instance, Mesozoic Marvels is Jurassic Park, or Sassuan Supplies, that's from Seuss Landing. It's the mission statement that that store, or Port of Entry as a whole, is a crossroad for all the adventures you're going to experience on your day at Islands of Adventure. However, for some reason, Universal has decided to paint it over, so you can't even read it anymore. But it used to be there.
By the way, congratulations! You've made it halfway through the video, and what's that? You're still not subscribed? You can change that right now by hitting that button. You know the one.
I think the biggest Easter egg spot in all of Port of Entry is right inside Confisco Grill. This restaurant carries a storyline that every adventurer's odd cargo passing through the port gets confiscated here.
As a result, the restaurant's interior is a treasure trove of props and souvenirs from every land. From comic book villain gear, dinosaur fossils, to mystical relics, these items displayed up in the rafters and on shelves serve as Easter eggs referencing each island of adventure, including later additions like the Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
And there are nods in here to a specific group of people that used to roam around in Port of Entry.
These team members would roam the streets, interact with guests, and bring this fictional story to life. They were designed to make Port of Entry feel like a living, breathing thing, a real place where adventurers would come and go.
Over time, Universal phased out these Streetmosphere characters, and this was likely due to budget cuts or a change in entertainment priorities. And while you can still see roaming characters now in the new park Epic Universe, such as characters in Ministry of Magic or Dark Universe, the unique cast that Universal made in Port of Entry, it never returned in full.
However, the remnants of this concept still exist here behind me in Confisco Grill. The props and decorations inside represent the confiscated items from adventurers like we mentioned earlier. The adventurers were originally portrayed by these costumed team members.
As sad as it is to see these characters no longer portrayed and roaming around in this land, it's still cool to see that Universal is paying homage to what came before. A real-life history in a fictional world. Dining in Confisco Grill is definitely an experience you don't want to miss.
It's like visiting a mini museum of the park's lands, a really special and subtle way to tie the lands together in one big story.
Connected to Confisco is the private Navigators Club lounge upstairs, mostly used for events, but known to occasionally allow curious guests to peek in, offering a bird's eye view of Port of Entry and more hidden decor.
So guys, remember, nearly every sign and building in Port of Entry has a story or a joke. Nothing is just a label. The details reward those who really look. It's part of how the Universal creative team made this land feel authentic. This place is alive, despite it being set in a very fantasy-based world.
The thing is, we're not even close to finishing. Now we have to talk about interactive elements and the ambiance.
As we all know, theme parks are loud. But if you listen closely enough, you just might hear specific things in Port of Entry.
Audio is half the experience. Most people don't realize that in movies, audio design is half of what makes a movie so great. And it's the same thing with a theme park. You're basically living in a visual movie in real life. Universal Creative made sure that when you're walking through Port of Entry, you weren't only seeing amazing things, but the audio told half the story and made the whole package come to life. As you pass under the Grand Arch into Port of Entry, you might hear strange things amid the background music. For example, faint monks chanting echoes from an upper temple window on the left, as if a prayer service is happening inside.
On the right side, a balcony is home to some cats and birds, and you may even see them if you look closely enough. But even if you don't see them, you can hear meows and chirps. It sounds like a bunch of animals are up there. So even if you don't see them, you definitely will hear them.
These ambient tracks help sell the idea that people and pets and creatures all live in these rooms above the shop.
One faux storefront is the Lucky Monkey Casino. And while you can't go in, you can hear the sound of gamblers and slot machines inside.
It's an imaginative little scene, suggesting that the adventurers in this port enjoy a little recreation. There's no visible casino interior, just the muffled audio of people testing their luck behind closed doors. Blink and you miss the sign, but the sound design really helps sell the idea of this being a living, breathing city. And the audio is very loud. But so many people are just so focused on going to the other lands that they're gonna miss it entirely. Slow down, walk a little slower, listen to the ambiance. You'll hear it.
Near the end of the main walkway, look for a sign for a dance school or studio. Periodically, music plays here and a recorded announcer advertises dances from Merlin's Mambo to the Stegosaurus Stomp. This is a cute reference to the park's land, Merlin for Lost Continent and Stegosaurus for Jurassic.
The sign text even says, discover the world of dance from Algrius to Zepekotls, spanning dance styles from A to Z, quite literally. It's a whimsical little detail that doubles as a nod to the cultural representative details inside of the park.
As you leave Port of Entry near the Central Lagoon, listen for the creaking of a wooden bridge. There's a footbridge above the path connecting parts of Confisco Grill.
Universal added creaking wood and rope sounds to make it feel like a real suspended bridge. It's so subtle you might think it's real until you realize it's an effect. This continues the illusion that the surroundings are alive and not just props.
Perhaps the most hidden of all, literally tucked away, are two small white dove statues, affectionately dubbed the lovebird.
I think this might be my favorite Easter egg yet. It's you and me, Cal.
Okay, Cheese Wagon. Let's focus on the details here. The two doves sit together on a high ledge. It's often overlooked unless you really crane your neck and look up. And if you pause and listen, you'll hear a really subtle cuckoo sound coming from the two lovebirds.
It's an adorable Easter egg, and one that's easy to walk under without even noticing.
Moving on, we have one of my favorite little hidden but practical details in Port of Entry. It has its own post office. Well, sort of anyways.
Just inside the entrance to the left, look for an old mailbox labeled Rocket Air Mail.
This is actually a functioning mailbox where guests can actually put in their postcards to the letters and it'll get shipped to their loved ones.
While it doesn't get its own Port of Entry postmark, which, bummer, mail is picked up regularly on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. The mailbox fits the Explorer theme here, and it's a detail that most park guests walk by without even realizing it's here.
There are so many subtle touches here that tell a complete story. It may not have any rides or shows, but I'd definitely say the land qualifies as an island here. People just need to stop and smell the roses, or I guess in this case, hear the chanting monks. The Universal team members worked too hard on this land for it to be overlooked.
Yeah, we appreciate our hardworking team members who really think of everything and more when it comes to designing these parks. Unfortunately, I really don't think we will ever see this land return to its former glory. In fact, as time goes on, I think it will continue to fade into the background. But we want to know what you think. Do you think things like Roman characters will ever return to Port of Entry?
Anyways, this has been a blast to make and it has been a ton of work. I have never seen Port of Entry so well, and I feel like I know every corner, and I don't know about you. But seriously, thank you to the amazing team members, the original team, the original creator team that made Port of Entry, that made Islands of Adventure. This park is so amazing, and it's so unique. And even with Epic opening, I was a little afraid of Islands being lower on my list as far as enjoying theme parks, but it's still right up there. It's such a vibe, and it's so lived in now, being open for 26 years. Anyways, that's enough about my ramble of Islands. If you liked this video, and if you love Port of Entry as much as we do, go ahead and click this video right above Amberlynn's head. YouTube thinks that you'll love it.
Yeah, don't question the almighty algorithm. It's after you.
Exactly. And it helps our channel grow, so go ahead and click on that. I've been Cal.
I've been Emberlynn.
And you've been watching
The Adventure Gateway.
Bye.